All right. Peace and greetings, YouTubers. So, Jay-Z has been the topic of discussion for the past week and some change. And initially, it all started because there was a very subtle press release that comes out. And in this press release, they say that Jay-Z and the NFL are in some type of partnership. And they don't really give any more details. And so people start questioning, like, well, what exactly are they doing? And there's two different reactions. There's some people like, what the heck are you even working with the NFL for? This is backwards. You're selling your people out. This, that, and third. On the other side, some people are like, oh, this is going to be a great thing. You know, we got to get a seat at the table. And, you know, black folks, we moving up and this, that, and the third, and so on and so on. Because a lot of times we get blinded by celebrity. And I think a lot of times we also live vicariously through people that we admire. And so we think that when they have a win, it's a win for us. When in reality, a lot of times it's not. But we'll keep going. And so slowly little tidbits start coming out. And one of the tidbits was, well, Jay-Z is going to be working, you know, in the realms of helping to pick and choose performers for NFL events. And people are like, oh, this could be cool because, you know, he's going to be picking the halftime show performers and this, that, and the third. This going to be representation. It's going to give black artists an opportunity to perform at the Super Bowl and so on and so on. And then more tidbits come out like, okay, you know, he's also going to be doing like a social justice outreach type thing. And people are like, okay, that's cool. He's bridging the gap with, you know, the issues we have, and this is going to help to fix what's going on with police brutality and so on and so on. And then, of course, people on the other end are like, this is all a joke. Well, what the hell? And then there was another tidbit that comes out where, okay, you know, he's also going to possibly be buying a team. He's going to be the owner of a team. And people are like, oh, with significant ownership as far as the percentage. And folks are like, oh, this is going to be huge. You know, he's about to get Kaepernick his job back. And this is going to be something, I mean, this is what we talking, this black excellence right here, you know, melanin all day. And so, finally, we get the details of what exactly is taking place. And so, I'm going to skim and read through pretty much what this deal is. So, this was a new press release. And again, there's not a lot of detail. There's very broad and very general, you know, statements being made. But it does leave room for a lot of questions. So, here we go. Today, the NFL and Roc Nation announced the launch of Inspire Change Apparel and Songs of the Season as part of their new partnership. Inspire Change Apparel, a new social enterprise model, will fund and support Inspire Change programs across the country. Proceeds from this venture will support organizations committed to the key priorities of Inspire Change, which would be education and economic empowerment, police and community relations, and criminal justice reform. The Inspire Change Apparel line, designed by artists, will be available later in the 2019 season. Songs of the Season is a multi-tier, season-long initiative that will highlight superstars and emerging artists of all genres. Songs of the Season will showcase musicians that will create and deliver a song to be integrated in all NFL promotions each month during the season. The songs will debut during an in-game broadcast and will be simultaneously released to all digital streaming platforms worldwide. All proceeds from the songs will go towards Inspire Change. Meek Mill, Meghan Trainor, and Rhapsody will be the first Inspire Change advocates of the 2019 NFL season and will perform a free concert at the NFL Kickoff Experience presented by EA Sports Madden NFL 20 in Chicago's Grant Park on Thursday, September 5th. Also performing will be Chicago-based DJ Ferris. A portion of both Meek Mill's and Meghan Trainor's performances will be featured in the simulcast coverage of the 40-minute pregame show from Chicago from 7:30 to 8:10 p.m. 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC and the NFL Network. Following Meek Mill's performance, fans are encouraged to stay at Grant Park for the NFL Kickoff Watch Party as the Green Bay Packers take on the Chicago Bears. So I think the first thing to note is that we can't be blinded by celebrity, because when we're too blinded by celebrity through our fandom, then we can't see the lens of reality. And so let's get into reality. My first question for Jay-Z would be, why the NFL? And I say that because the NFL has showed us where they stand with black folks. Pretty much, they just want us to play, watch, and be quiet. Okay, they don't want any of that political stuff. Don't come in here talking no black nothing. We don't care about none of that. Just shut up and play, or shut up and watch, or shut up and buy our tickets. That's where they stand with black issues. And so we've seen that. We saw how they responded to Kaepernick. We saw how there were many players who had to face punitive action because they exercised their First Amendment right and they decided to call out a few things. When you look at the origins of Colin Kaepernick's bit, and mind you, this video is not about Colin Kaepernick. It's so far beyond Kaepernick, but I'm just using him as the basis to launch this argument. So you saw Kaepernick make his argument, and pretty much he said, you know, he didn't want to stand for the national anthem because the country has an issue with race, and it has an issue with police brutality, and there are people who are not being treated fair in this society, and so until America does the things that it promises it's supposed to do for all of the people who live here and who are citizens, then I'm not standing for it. And that was his right to do so. And we saw how the NFL pretty much pushed him out. And we saw that there were other players who tried to somewhat do the same, but they got shook. They got threatened with losing their contracts. They got threatened with being kicked off the field. They got booed by the fans. You know, they were used as political talking points on all the late night news shows and everything like that. And then even when some of the teams tried to find their own ways to still, you know, do what it is they want to do, like, oh, we're going to go stay and we're going to hide in the locker room and then we'll come out during the game. You had owners like Jerry Jones say, oh, no, y'all Negroes ain't going back in the locker room during the national anthem. Y'all going to be out here. Toes to the line. That's my favorite line I've been using with my cousin every year. Toes to the line. Okay, y'all gonna be out here toes to the line. So that's where the NFL lets us know where they stand when it comes to black folks. That's it. And so the issue why I think a lot of people are saying why the NFL Jay-Z is because at the end of the day, Jay-Z is not Jay-Z without black folks. Yes, he has that mainstream money now, but in order for him to even get to the space where he could even get into the door to that mainstream money, that came from black folks. That came from the plight of black folks who supported his music, who supported the concerts, who bought the clothing lines, even before he got famous. If you just want to talk about what it was he had to do before he got on, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, that was black folks. That's still him getting on. That's always been us. And so for him to go and align and do a partnership with the NFL of all organizations, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, that don't add up. Especially when the NFL, even when you're talking about the money that they give politically, they tend to donate and give to candidates who tend to support policies that oppress black folks, who tend to support policies that continue to cut funding from schools or housing programs or food programs or pretty much anything that's detrimental to marginalized groups of people in this country, specifically black folks. And so it's questionable that Jay-Z would work with them. So now let's dig a little deeper because a lot of people are saying you're doing too much. It's not that deep. Like, look at what the issue is that he's going after. You know, he's going to attack the wealth gap and he's going to help with education and he's going to make sure that the judicial system isn't screwed up. And so my response to all of that is let's look at the optics. So pretty much we selling t-shirts and we gonna be playing and streaming some songs and that's gonna fix the problem. You know, so the next time Darnell or Anita gets shot by the police unarmed, it's don't worry, I'm about to go buy 10 t-shirts and it's gonna help fix the problem. We got it. Don't worry, it's gonna be good. Or, you know, the next time the school gets some more funding cut, don't worry, we gonna buy them shoes. We gonna buy some more of them shoes. Y'all gonna have a nice gym in here by the time I'm gonna buy some shoes. My cousin's gonna buy some shoes. I'm gonna get my friend across the street to buy the shoes. Y'all gonna have a nice gym up in here and the music program's gonna be back. And so it's just the optics. And so let's dig deeper. The NFL already has their own charitable contributions and their own foundations. The NFL has, every year when those board members get into that office and they map out exactly how they're gonna do their budget and what's gonna come out of their budget to go to charitable causes, they already have it written and locked in stone. And those charities and stuff are funded through the NFL. Nobody else, as far as the consumers, have to pay anything in addition to help support these charities. The money that comes to the charities come from revenue from ticket purchasers and merchandise at the actual games. So pretty much, the NFL is willing to spend their money for different causes. Same thing with the NFL teams. The NFL teams have their own foundations. Like there's a Redskins foundation, and there's a foundation the Seahawks have, and the Giants have a foundation, and the Cowboys have one. And so all of these teams have their own foundations as well, where again, they're taking money out of their bottom line, out of their budget to go and help these different causes. The difference between those and this thing here is you're paying to fix these issues. So the wealth gap, the crappy situation with education, the judicial system, it's coming out of your pocket because the NFL is not funding that. You are. So when you go and you buy the t-shirt or the scarves and the coat and the hoodie and you stream the music and everything like that, then your revenue and your money goes to fund that. And so my question with that is, clearly that shows you that the NFL has no interest in taking care of those issues, because if they wanted to take care of those issues, it would have already been in their bottom line for the charitable foundations they already have. So clearly this is definitely just a photo op. This is a way to pretty much remedy the tension that's going along with like the NFL when you talk about the relationship with the NFL and black folks. And on the other end, because the NFL also has an issue right now with white folks because they're pissed off that the NFL gave any bit of attention to black folks with the issues that they have. So the NFL has two groups of people mad at them right now. They're trying to remedy this. So they said, well, let's start with the loudest group over here, which are the black folks. If we can get a celebrity to be the face of something, we can shut them up, because of course we just think that black folks are moved by entertainers. You notice with all of these corporations, every time there's something that they need to fix, the first thing they go and do is they go get a celebrity. They get somebody black who's famous, because they think all we just need to electric slide and get a rapper or two, get your favorite entertainer, and all is well. And that's what they've been doing for years and years and years. But going back to this, so now you're telling me that in order to remedy things like the wealth. And mind you, this is not even something that I think can be fixed through charitable foundations anyway. This is something that's structural. The government's supposed to be fixing this kind of stuff. But anyway, that just goes back to the fact that, like I said, something like the NFL, they support a lot of candidates who oppress. They support politicians who work to oppress. You know, because at the end of the day, they're just here for their bottom line and for their dollar. But again, how does that look where you're saying, okay, if you want to fix the wealth gap in your neighborhood, go buy some t-shirts, go stream this song. Your demographic already ain't got no money to begin with. Most people are like, when you're talking about, I'm talking so fast right now, but when you're talking about, you know, the groups of people that this program is supposed to help, these are also the people most likely to go and purchase these items. So it's like you're spending your money to learn about economic empowerment. Okay, I guess. And how does all of this work? You know, like, I would like to know more details about the charitable organizations. Like, are these going to be organizations where 90% of the revenue that comes in goes to overhead as far as paying the staff and paying for the facilities and the rent and everything else? Or is this going to be one of those foundations where 90% of the revenue goes to the actual cause, and then the rest of the funding, when it comes to what's needed, is funded by a Jay-Z or the NFL? Like, is there a match program? Is the NFL going to match revenue that's made? Is Jay-Z going to match revenue that's made? And so at the end of the day, it's like, why the NFL? You know, because people are trying to look at this as something that's revolutionary, and really, in my opinion, this is just symbolism being passed off as activism. And the other bit is, it's nothing new under the sun. It's being presented as something that's never been done before, and this is gonna just change, inspire change, you know. And at the end of the day, pretty much every celebrity who goes on an arena tour, proceeds from their concert goes to some charity. You know, every time these people go on tour, you know, this is gonna go to the YMCA, this is gonna go to America's Promise, this is gonna go to St. Jude's, this is gonna go to AS. What's the infomercial that comes on at 2 a.m. where they got like the dog with one eye and the cat with no tail? You know, it's gonna go to them. You know, that's nothing new under the sun. Same thing with celebrities who have clothing lines and everything like that, and they go, and a certain, you know, amount of the revenue goes to a good cause. That's nothing new under the sun. The bigger beef that I have, because at the end of the day, Jay-Z, call it what it is. It's a business deal, and that's okay. Have your business deal, but don't try to pass it off as some revolutionary stuff that's supposed to help the black community or help marginalized groups of people, because it's not. It's a come up for the NFL because it helps them to save face and not look as terrible, and it's a come up for Jay-Z because it opens doors into other avenues. And so at the end of the day, call it what it is. Don't try to sit here and pass it off as something new under the sun. You know, everything that's being done right now has already been done before. You guys are just going and reinventing the wheel. And so I think that's where I'm just kind of like, I don't know. And by the way, because I know somebody's going to come in here with, what are you doing for the community? You're asking the wrong person. Check my resume, all right? So again, it's like, just, I'd rather you call it what it is. It's a business deal, but when you're trying to pass it off as this elaborate, you know, thing that's going to fix all the problems in the world, it's not. It's a waste of, like, you're selling a fake dream, man, and it's messed up. And then let's get into this bit with the ownership thing, because a lot of people were like, actually no, I'm gonna come back to that. The bit I was gonna say, I think these charities are too vague. They're so broad, it's not enough concrete detail. Like, I want to know, you know, with these charities, I want to know the line items with this program. And what I mean by that is, like, with my center, if I get a grant for I don't know, reading comprehension at my center or something like that, you know, when I get the grant, the MOU or the LOA that they give me, there's line items for everything that they expect. Okay, we're gonna give you $5,000 for a reading comprehension program. You have to spend $1,000 on tutors. You gotta spend $500 on snacks for the kids. You have to spend $126.22 on this, and like, they want to know exactly what you're spending, and then you got to do the report, and then don't have it be jacked up. You will get audited. So it's like they're like really on top of it, and the money really goes to a specific cause. And I'm like, well, what, you know, can you be a bit more specific as to how this money gets used to work with something like economic empowerment? The wealth gap is not something you can fix with charity. Again, that's something that needs to be fixed with laws and fixed with opportunity and everything like that. So how does that work? Because for me, I think if this would have made more sense to me, it would have made more sense if they had one specific cause that they locked into and they ran with it. Like, let's say we know that in America, 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry because 1 in 5 children in this country starve. And so for some kids, their only meal is what they're going to get at school. But unfortunately, because we only spend 6% of our national budget on education, and you know, the revenue that comes into funding our schools comes out of property taxes. So you have some people who live in neighborhoods that are not affluent, and because some neighborhoods have such a low set of resources. Some of these school districts don't even have enough money for a hot lunch program or a lunch program at all. And so kids are burdened to have to bring their own lunch to school, and some families just don't have it. So for me, something I could have respected a bit more would have been if they took that cause on and said, okay, all proceeds are going to go to establishing a national lunch program where every kid in America knows that they can get a meal from the school that they go to in their neighborhood, a breakfast and a lunch. You know, something like that, I could almost side-eye a bit less, because this symbolic we are the world idea that they're pushing out here, that's really general, and by the time they go to all of these different organizations that they're going to help fund, everybody's going to get a few dollars by the time you spread the wealth, and it's not even going to go that far. And so, but going back to the seat at the table thing, because I kept hearing the phrase seat at the table. So many people kept saying, you don't understand, this is going to be good because Jay-Z, he has a seat at the table. You know, he's going to be owning one of the teams. Can we dissect a few things? Let me explain this. I'm not taking away from what Jay-Z has. Jay-Z is rich. He's wealthy. He has nice money. You hear me? Nice money. I would love to have that. Just very nice money. Jay-Z is nice. Jay-Z, I'm sure, is worth about $800 or $900 million. Some people say he's a billionaire. He's somewhere in that range. So let's just pretend that Jay-Z is sitting somewhere between $800 and $1.2 billion as far as his net worth. Cool. So when we're talking a seat at the table, let's use an example here. So you know how, like, when your family gets together for Thanksgiving and there's usually two tables at the house? There's the tables with all the adults, you know, mom and grandma and the aunts and maybe, you know, your uncle who just got the new wife that he married, and all of them are at the adult table having a good time. Then there's that kids table. And that kids table, it's anybody who's not grown sitting there. So you can be 4 years old or you can be 15. All of y'all are sitting at the kids table. And this is that table that it's not even the real table. It's the fold-up table you got out the garage. You know, you don't even get to eat on the good plates. You got the paper plates. The people at the grown folks table got the real china and the real glasses and the wine glasses. Y'all, paper cups and paper plates, plastic silverware, you know, fold-up chairs, fold-up table. And so you sitting there. And so this is how, when y'all talk about Jay-Z being at the table with all these NFL owners, this is what it looks like to me. You know how there's always that one little kid in your family that's just hard-headed. They don't listen. They just bad child. Just, ooh, you don't even like when they come over. You know they're going to tear up everything. They got the silver tooth in the front, hard-headed. All right. So then you got that little boy, or little girl, because that child is causing so many problems over at the kids' table, mom or dad comes and grabs them and makes them sit with them at the adult table. And so now that little kid is sitting at the adult table, but they're not contributing to anything at the table. They're just sitting there and they're eating. Them sitting at that table keeps stability in the house. So all the kids at the kids' table, they're chilling, everything is good. The child that was causing all these problems just has to sit there, and the adults continue in their conversation. And with that child, as they sit there and eat, even though they're at the table, they contribute nothing to the table. They're not going to be allowed to participate in the conversation, because stay out of grown folks' conversation. You know, there's nothing that they can do to change the dynamic of what's going to happen at that table. That's how I see Jay-Z when you're talking about him in the room with these NFL players and a seat at the table. Mainly because this is a conversation about wealth. Jay-Z is rich, but not NFL owner rich. You know, even if you take the least valuable team in NFL, which I think it's either the Buffalo Bills or Tampa Bay. I want to say Buffalo Bills, but I think they're worth like $1.6 billion. In order to be an owner and really have to like shake the table as far as having majority ownership, that means that you would at least have to have close to $900 million in liquid assets that you could just throw out today. You could write the check, boom, here you go. Jay-Z unfortunately doesn't have that, because that would be everything that he's worth. That's his whole net worth. You know, like I said, if we're saying Jay-Z is worth about $800 to $1.2 billion, he can't just write a check for $800 million because, one, he doesn't have that kind of cash flow. All of this is going to be in investments and guesstimates about what they think he's worth and everything like that. If he were to do that, that would be a financial mistake. And so when we talk about ownership, you know, people gassed him up because of the Nets deal with Brooklyn. Oh yeah, he's the owner of the team. And I was wondering, I was like, he's the owner of the thing, and yeah, he helped build Barclays, even though that was a whole gentrification story in itself. But you know, he's getting it. Then when I found out that he was only like a 0.08% owner, I was like, oh, so that's like not even 1% of the team, which means you don't get to shake the table at the meetings. Like, really, that's like you get to pick the color trim on the jersey, and then they say, thank you for your time, you can leave now. Let's let the big dogs do our thing. And so that's literally like where I see him with the NFL thing. And so I think, in my personal opinion, this whole deal is just a way for him to get a little bit more leverage at the table, because unfortunately he can't play with the big boys financially when it comes to decisions with the NFL. However, his lane of expertise is entertainment. His lane of expertise, where he has the pool, is entertainment. He can call up other entertainers and call in a favor. And yeah, you need this person for the Super Bowl? I got it. That's his lane, and that's what the NFL is using him for. And so pretty much they're using him as a ploy to save their own face, and we've somehow been blinded to think that he's over here leading the charge for revolution and prosperity for everybody. And so I'm just looking at all of it like, really, in my opinion, it's like he's low-key getting played. I mean, good for him. It's a business deal, but at what expense? You know, when you're talking about the fact that the oppression of black folks, and we're talking bloodshed and people who've lost family members and everything like that, and police brutality, and you're talking about whatever's going on with the wealth gap and people not even having enough to eat, and the school systems being a bunch of crap. You've now taken those issues and turned it into a profit, a capitalistic campaign to make some money. The oppressions of others is now going to make you rich, which is the definition of America. The oppression of black folks is how we have our economy now. So literally, you're playing into the same game. And so looking at Jay-Z, it's just like, bruh, no, why? Because really, like, Jay-Z didn't even have to work with the NFL. He could have done this exact same thing with his music friends. He could have called up Diddy, he could have called up L.A. Reid, he could have called up Russell Simmons, all the power players in the music business, and they alone could have started their own little thing and spread it out from there. So it's questionable that you're partnering with the NFL, especially because he opened his mouth and he said the line about, we're past kneeling. So people thought, okay, he's about to do something that's supposed to open more. What are you about to do? And so then here comes the rollout, and it's, okay, you're going to be doing some concerts and selling t-shirts for profit to help fix the problems in the world. I guess. We'll see how this goes. Inspire change. That's what we're going to be doing. And then the thing with that, inspire change, I'm like, who needs to be inspired to change? Because really, the issues when you're talking about the wealth gap, education, and the judicial system, it's all, again, it's structural. It's laid into the law. It's not the people affected by it. The people affected by it don't need to change anything because they're living in that system. That system has to change. So we can sing as many songs as we want and buy as many t-shirts. That's not going to stop that police officer from shooting you in the face. There's that. Anyway, share your 2 cents. Let me know how you stand on everything. And I want to see more details come out. I hate that I started this video so early because I know there's more to come out. I need more tangible details about how this all works. But we'll see how this goes. Again, like, I don't have a problem with people doing business deals. Do your business deal and just be upfront about it. Don't pass it off like it's some revolutionary stuff and you're saving the world and you're saving the community, especially if you're working with an organization like the NFL. Okay? That's like me getting sponsored by the Klan and they're going to continue to run my after school program, which is 90% black children. Doesn't work that way. Yeah, well, I mean, they the Klan. Yeah, I mean, they kill a few folks and stuff, but you know what? They got us some nice furniture. The bookshelves in here are nice. Them bookshelves in here are nice and white. Everything, all the stuff in here is white. It's real nice. It's real nice. I know it's the Klan, but they're helping to lead change. You got to work together. We got to have a seat at the table together to really implement change. And by the way, this is not me trying to take away from what Jay-Z has. I'm just saying, like, y'all got to look at the bigger picture. Anyway, I'm out. Subscribe.
It's all so real. Oh, so real. So real. I'm walking the pathway, leads to my greater. Promising for the next day, nothing can stop.